What is going on, guys? It's Monday, 2nd of October. Told you I was going to be more regular. Yeah, a couple things happened over the weekend since we last got on. It was good to get on. It was the first time I've done a podcast by myself without having a conversation with somebody. So it's definitely different, but some of the feedback that I've heard from people was positive. So I'm happy to hear that. So I'm going to try to keep this ball rolling and do it as best I can. But yeah, as usual, going to have to plug the sponsors and the subs. So you guys already know we have our N2 guard, HC Generate Test Booster, same old, telling you the same things. Go check it out. If you have any questions, hit me up. Always free to give advice or any kind of information you guys need. If you need a multivitamin, you need an organ protector, N2 guard is the one. And then you got HC Generate. That's also another important test booster that you can add to your day-to-day that I think will get you a lot of good results. I've had it myself. Can't go wrong. So now I'm going to introduce another product. This isn't something that's necessarily marketed to sell and make a ton of money. It's actually something that me and my father came up with in 2009. It's a green supplement that has 55 ingredients of fruit and vegetables. The labeling on here currently is Russian because we had a deal with the Russian swim association. So they were purchasing our product. So at the moment, I've been taking this for, looking on 14 years. It's my morning go-to, one scoop in the morning. It helps a lot with gut health. It helps a lot with, of course, getting the proper nutrients you need in your body. One thing I know for sure, people are not getting enough fruit and vegetables in their body. It takes time to prepare. It takes time to spend, money to spend, and get all that kind of stuff done. But the beauty of this, you have one scoop in the morning, and you're good for the day. $60 a month, $2 a day. There's nowhere else on earth that you can go and get vegetables and fruit, 55 servings of them for $2. So this has been my go-to product. It's just been kind of hiding on the shelves. But the reason I brought it out today, I was in the gym training, just finished practice, and a lot of people have been getting sick. This is one product that I took when I had COVID before I fought in the UFC, made my debut. This is all I was drinking and trying to get my immune system strong. And so I just kind of popped into my head and said, hey, if there's anybody that's having issues or wants to strengthen their immune system or add like a top quality product to their routine, I would highly recommend green. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'll let you know. All of this stuff I have on hand. So if you're interested, you know where to find me. You can hit me in on DMs, or if you're lucky enough to have my phone number, you can hit me up there too. So yeah, I got to plug the subs, and then of course Sauce, the sponsor. My pen's in the other end of the room. I know I should be hitting it, but I hit it earlier, so you guys can just believe me. But as you know, only smoke the best, only ingest the best, only put the best in my body as much as I can. But yeah, that's the intro there on the products. But I also had before the last episode, kind of last second, asked our Instagram page, basically asked the fans to send any questions along. I answered one of them at the end of last episode, so I had a couple saved over that I thought I would open the episode with. I think they're pretty good questions, especially if guys are tuning in or interested in the fight game. So first question Jack Boy asked was, what belt do you think you should have before your first amateur fight? To be honest with you, it's not like set in stone, like, oh, you should be this to be able to do that. For me personally, I was like, I didn't want to compete until I had a blue belt in jiu-jitsu. I got my blue belt in 6 months. I just grinded it out and was training 3 times a day, just trying to get it as fast as possible. And then once I did get it, I was like, all right, now I can go compete. But at the same time, if you've got good wrestling and you come from a wrestling background, it's not super necessary for you to have a blue belt in jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu is great. It's good to know. But if you're fighting MMA, specifically MMA, I would not necessarily recommend jiu-jitsu is a must learn. I would rather you learn wrestling. I'd rather you learn how to strike. I'd rather you learn how to do all of that instead of the one. I kind of, in a way, made that mistake. I thought I had really high level jiu-jitsu when I was in the gi. At that time, I was winning tournaments. I was doing good, but it's a completely different sport to MMA. And then, of course, I come from a striking background, so I thought, oh, I got sick jiu-jitsu and I got sick striking. Like, I'm ready for MMA. I'm going to fuck shit up. And then I moved over and started training with the Black Zillions and got demolished by all the wrestlers. They just hold me down and smash me on the ground, you know. Jiu-jitsu is great, you know, if someone else is playing jiu-jitsu, but as soon as punches are thrown and the intent of the other guy is to hold you down and smash you instead of submit you, yeah, that jiu-jitsu stuff's not going to get you very far. It's good. It was good in its time when people didn't know what to do, but now everybody got internet. Everybody can just look up exactly what a submission is, how to defend a submission. They're hard, man. Like, there's certain submissions that people get frequently. Like, it's very impressive that they're able to do that. You know, submission guys that are doing it, you know, week in and week out, in the training room, those guys are killers, you know. So understand that if you're willing to invest so much time to become a high-level grappler, understand that you're going to be put on your back and smashed. But for me personally, if I was to design a fighter to be successful, it would be to focus primarily on wrestling, scrambling, getting back to your feet, and then having high-level striking. At the end of the day, you know, if you want to be a successful fighter, an entertaining fighter, a fighter that people want to watch, you got to put hands on people and put them to sleep, you know. And if you do that, then you're going to have a successful career. So in order to do that, you got to have good wrestling defense. You got to be able to scramble. You got to have good cardio. So those are all important. And yeah, so that was a good question. So back to it. Yeah, it doesn't necessarily matter what belt you have. Sure, it'd be great if you had a black belt in jiu-jitsu before your first amateur fight, you know. But I'm not going to say go and train 10 years in jiu-jitsu and then fight MMA. Put it all together. Train a little bit of everything and just get better at everything. You know, that's the goal. There's so many facets to the game of MMA, so you got to grow and learn in all of them and just get better. So that's what I'm going to say on that. So don't think that because you're a white belt, you can't go and fight MMA. Of course you can. It's not a super telltale of like whether you have to do it or you don't, you know, as long as you're confident in your abilities in the cage. And the great thing about being an amateur is you learn a lot about yourself. It doesn't really matter if you win or lose, in my opinion, because you're not getting paid. It's not on your professional record. It's almost like you're going out there just to practice your skill set, you know, against another man at a higher level, you know. So don't ever feel like, you know, amateurs are make or break. It's the end of your life if you lose. Like, it's not that big a deal. I was fortunate in my amateur career. I went undefeated, but, you know, I always tell young guys coming up, just go out there and get your feet wet, you know, go out there and experience it, getting in the cage, fighting another man or woman, you know, whoever you may be, and just, you know, feeling those feelings, you know, the emotions that go into fighting, you know, and then that will give you an idea moving later. If you want to become a professional fighter, then, you know, you're going to grow into that role and understand what you're going to expect, you know, when you compete. So yeah, just stay training. Every day is just a day to get better. Think of it that way, and keep grinding. And then a question from Medina32. What's the payouts line in the UFC? Do you get to choose up front or a pay system? So I'm going to break down the UFC pay system to the best of my knowledge, okay? So the UFC, if you are a American national in the United States and they sign you to the UFC, your base contract, unless you're somebody special, unless you have a credentialed kickboxing career or you're a former Olympian or you have 2 million followers on Instagram, there's a lot of different narratives that can help you negotiate your first contract potentially. But for pretty much 95% of everybody else, they come in on 12 and 12. So 12,000 to show, 12,000 to win. You don't get any money up front. They don't give you any money to get you ready for a camp, nothing like that. You get paid the Monday you fight. So you fight, say, Saturday, you'll get paid on Monday. That money will be in your bank account Monday, regardless of the outcome. Okay? So that's like the entry-level UFC. When I made my debut, I was on 12 and 12. So what happens is if you win your fight, and you'll have a 4-fight contract. When you win your fight, you'll be booted up to 14 and 14. All right. But if you lose, you're still on 12 and 12. So if you win all 4 of your fights on that contract, it'll go 12 to 12, 14, 14, 16, 16, then 18, 18. Okay. If you win all 4 of those fights, then you go to the negotiation table for a new contract. And there again, if those 4 fights that you had in the UFC were all knockouts, submissions, great performance, you look good, you did well on the mic, you could be in a position to negotiate, or your manager could be in a position to negotiate a good contract where you could be on 50 and 50, 75, 75, 100 and 100. It all depends on who you are. But for the most part, in my experience, unfortunately for me, I didn't get to go through negotiating my second contract. I only got through my first. But from my experience, I've heard guys going from 18 and 18 to just 25 and 25 potentially on their second contract. Now, I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus, but there are certain management teams, certain managers, certain companies that for some reason have it really, really buddy-buddy with UFC, and they're not going to ask for a lot of money from their fighters. That's not all managers. There are some other management companies who are the opposite. They demand a high dollar for their fighters, and they usually get them. But from some of the more, I guess you can say, personal relationship managers that are involved in the UFC, their negotiation abilities are very limited on purpose because they don't want to hurt any feelings, or they just want to have favorable treatment for certain fighters and matchups. So you have to understand there's currently a lawsuit going on for the monopolization of the UFC and management. And I've been there. I've seen it. I know how they all operate. And I've also seen the companies that don't operate with them, and I see how much money their fighters are making. So at the end of the day, in fighting, in UFC, at the highest level, it's all about who manages you and who looks out for you in terms of who you're fighting, the matchups, the kind of money that you're going to be making, your sponsorships. So all of these things differ for different people. Like I was getting good sponsors when I first got in the UFC. So that had nothing to do with my manager. I got them myself because I was in the UFC. Companies reached out to me. We made deals. I was getting paid that way. So like that's a big bonus, like just for being in that opportunity. But my management didn't do nothing, you know? So there'll be certain situations where a manager will do everything for their fighter. I'll give you an example. Mike Perry, ever since he left UFC, the man's making a lot of money. He's making a lot of money with bare knuckle, and it's all because of his management team, you know? So these are important things that as a young fighter coming up, you got to align yourself with managers who can not only get you to the big show, but also take care of you along the way. Because the most important thing is getting paid as a fighter. There's literally no point of you taking pay cuts because of personal favors and things like that. It's offensive. It's disrespectful. I believe managers don't do enough in the sport. I think Sean O'Malley's talked about it before. I have a great manager I've been working with for less than 6 months, and he's already gotten me 2 sponsors, and that's amazing for me. Like that's all I'm looking for. Plus now I have a massive fight lined up where I'm getting more money than my UFC debut. So it's kind of crazy to think about. You know, when you go through it yourself, you know, you're just happy to be there. You're happy to experience it. I was fortunate because I got a bonus I got $50K on my first fight. So I got a nice little bonus there, and it made life a little bit easier for me as I was transitioning to my move to be in Vegas permanently. But, you know, after that, you know, my manager didn't do nothing for me, you know, and that's not his fault. It is what it is. It's the connections he has, it's the networks he has. But at the same time, it's like, why am I paying, you know, 10% of my bonus, 10% of my fight money? And the reality is he hasn't done anything for me, all because he has a homie that's, you know, making fights. So again, I'm not disrespecting nobody. I'm just saying exactly how it is. At the end of the day, I believe all fighters are underpaid. We should be paid much more. You know, and the UFC has taken advantage of that system. But I see all these other promotions paying their fighters way more. It's all these organizations outside of the UFC are getting paid better than all these guys in the UFC. It's wild to me. You know, everyone's like, oh, UFC is the pinnacle. It's the most important. Yeah, it is. There are a lot of high-level, great fighters in the UFC, the best in the world. But there are tons of fighters in other organizations who are just as good or if not better, and they're getting paid triple, you know? So to me, it makes no sense whatsoever. UFC's, you know, got a lot of people convinced that that's the only fight organization that matters. We just saw, you know, this weekend with One Championship on Friday. You know, I was on a 6-hour stream watching One Championship on Friday. It was dope. With the SCMP crew, South China Morning Post. Those are my boys back in Hong Kong. They do a lot of reporting for One Championship. My boy Nick Atkin, he's like my day one boy since I started MMA. He's always had my back. So yeah, it was cool to get with Drake Riggs. He's another guy who's, big in MMA journalism. So we were just kicking it, watching the fights, talking that shit, and it was good, man. Like watching these fights, watching Stamp fucking get the belt. Angela Lee retired. It was a good fight night, man. It was high level striking. These girls' fights. Smilla Sundell, 18 years old, smashed Alicia Rodriguez. She's 24-year-old who beat Stamp. Smilla and Stamp actually trained together at Fairtex, but this Swedish girl, she's 18 years old. I am so impressed with her striking. It's crazy how high level she is. She's a monster, and she's 18, killing these ladies for real. So yeah, if you guys are not watching this kind of stuff, you're missing out. You really are. You're really missing out on some high level stuff, especially with the ladies. Like some of these ladies, I'm telling you, they're like all Valentinas, like super high level in terms of their striking in the Muay Thai and kickboxing. So I enjoyed that. We kicked it for 6 hours. It went by quickly, but it was, overall really a really good card. I think out of 10 fights and then or out of 9 fights and 1 match, because jiu-jitsu isn't a fight. The jiu-jitsu went to a decision, no, obviously. And then I think it was 8 out of the 9 fights were all finishes. So it was a super sick card. A lot of super dope. I'll shout out Asa 10 Pao. He had like the most savage KO, like a right hand that hurt his opponent. And as he was falling, he landed like a head kick right on his jaw and just like crumpled this dude. It was like something out of a movie. It was a sick finish. That's like a dream finish for any fighter. If you could finish someone that way, it's like, fuck, I made it. That was a sick fight. He got 50K for it. So yeah, it was a dope card. And again, guys, it's on Amazon Prime. So if you guys are already paying for, Prime shipping and all that, the app is literally showing free fucking Amazon Prime One Championship fights. I think there's another one this Friday that I'm going to be live streaming. So you guys should come tune in, kick it, kick it on the comments. We talk a lot of shit. It's fun. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that on Friday. And then of course I was talking about PFL Europe. I'm sure you guys saw, Cedric Doumbé's 6-second KO. I told you guys a little bit about him. Multiple time Glory World Champion. The dude is a beast. And Simeon Powell, another English star coming up, and then Dakota Dikcheva as well. She looked awesome. She smashed it with her performance. And unfortunately, I couldn't find any betting lines over here in the U.S. that were available to me for the PFL. Otherwise, I would have cashed out. Every single pick that I made won, but I wasn't able to invest in it. So I just saw the results of a lot of these fights through Instagram. But yeah, I mean, like I told you earlier, guys, like there are so many high-level fighters. There's fighters all over the world, Asia and Europe. I mean, think about the last 10 years, like the generation that's been developing to come into the fight sport. They're all over the world now. They're super high level. They know that you can be a star if you're good at this sport. So you're only seeing more and more talented people coming up, and you guys have got to take advantage. It's fun. It's fun to discover talent all over the world, and I'm going to start bringing in more conversations about that, and maybe even some individuals onto the pod that are like up and comers, some people that are, a couple fights away from being at the big show, or, maybe a Dana White Contender Series, opponent, something of that nature. I want to bring some up and comers, and then who knows, like in a couple of years time when they're, doing what they do at the biggest and highest level, we can revisit that conversation and just kind of reminisce about, the early days, So it's cool because it gives you guys that are listening, if you guys are fight fans or if you guys are someone that is trying to pursue this career, it kind of gives you a bit of a blueprint on like how to act, how to behave, how to work, how to work to get to where you want to go in this sport. So yeah, that would be cool. I would be excited to do something like that, moving on in the future. But number one focus though is staying consistent, keep pumping these out, and we'll see where it goes from here. Would love to have a sponsor for the podcast, maybe do some segments related to that. Definitely been in some conversation with a couple people. So yeah, I just got to keep going and see what we have lined up for the future. But my highlight of the weekend was Saturday night. I was able to kick it over at T-Mobile and watch Canelo Alvarez versus Jamel Charlo. Yeah, it was cool. I have a homie who works. She works in the medical, for the medical side of boxing, and she asked me if I wanted to go to the fights, and I said, "Fuck yeah! If I don't gotta pay $1, I'll be there." So cheapest ticket in the house, I think, was $500. I just had to pay for parking. Got to walk straight in, so it was dope. It was cool to be there. It's my first like big boxing fight, especially a Canelo Alvarez fight. Never been before. And I went in there thinking Canelo would knock this guy out. So I was like, fuck yeah, I want to be there live when Canelo knocks this fool out. Um, but yeah, man, like, of course, T-Mobile was packed full of Mexicans supporting Canelo. The vibe was dope. Everyone was behind Canelo. Everyone thought Canelo was going to get it done. Obviously he did. Canelo definitely got it done. But, watching that fight, I thought a couple things. I thought Charlo just fighting to be safe. He was fighting to not get KO'd, it seemed like. He didn't really want to engage. He didn't really want to win, it seemed like. It was a really, really weird performance from him, from my opinion. Like, I just didn't see someone that wanted to be a champion, someone that wanted to dethrone someone of Canelo's experience, and it was surprising to me. But on the other side, I was a little bit disappointed with Canelo. Honestly, I love Canelo. I love the way he fights, but I think personally, I think he's lost. I think he's lost a little bit of his sauce, man. Like in this Charlo fight, he was just looking for one shot, one power shot. I did not see combination punching. If he'd thrown 3 or 4 punches, I'm telling you, he would have gotten this guy out of here much faster. Obviously, it went to a decision. He dropped him 1 round. He set him on a knee, but Canelo was just looking for that home run. He was looking for that body shot, and to be honest with you, he was very inaccurate. I saw he missed a lot. He was hitting arms, elbows. Charlo was moving and trying to avoid these shots. Obviously, it's not easy, but at the same time, I just felt like from what I was seeing, all Canelo had to do was just add a couple punches to what he was already doing, and it wouldn't have taken long before Charlo went down. But credit to Charlo, he's a big dude. Like compared to Canelo, like he's obviously can take a shot. He's a big guy. But yeah, I wasn't super overly impressed with Canelo. Coming off of that Bivol loss, I just don't think he should be going back and rematching Bivol. I think Bivol has his card every time, especially now. Maybe a few years ago, a different Canelo, but I just don't see it. I don't think that's a wise decision. But we're talking about Terrence Crawford potentially. And I know some of y'all might think it's controversial, but I think Crawford wins that fight. I think Crawford throws way more volume. He's quicker. I don't think it's a great fight for Canelo either. Canelo just doesn't throw enough volume for me. Maybe that's just something that I just think for that weight class too. He doesn't have like the defense that Floyd had. Like Floyd wasn't a combination puncher either. He was a counter puncher, but his defense was like immaculate. Like even in the Charlo fight, like Canelo got touched up a couple times. Like nothing to the point where he got hurt, but you could see there were like a couple instances where he had to he paused for a millisecond and was like, okay, we back on it. But his defense is not like Floyd's. So I just feel like someone like Crawford, man. Crawford's mercurial. He moves so well. He's a switch stance fighter. He's tricky. He's quicker. He throws a lot of volume. I think it has all the makings for a pretty damn good result for Crawford. And I mean, of course, Canelo could land that one punch and put him away. Of course, he's a smaller fighter, but I don't know, man. I think Crawford's just like another animal, bro. Like he's a beast. I've seen that dude just like off the streets, just like go up and deadlift 500 pounds, like no warm up. He can wrestle. Like he's a freak, bro. Like I just see him. He's a freak. So in my opinion, I just feel like, Crawford will get the better of Canelo. You can timestamp. You can save that remark if they ever fight. And then if I'm wrong, you guys can roast me. But that's my prediction. I think Crawford will get it done against Canelo. And I don't think Canelo's too far away from fighting fucking Jake Paul. Like, I don't think that's too far away from now. I mean, he's 33 years old. He's pretty much done it all, man. He's been fighting professionally since he was like a teenager, like 15 or 16. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what comes from this. I I enjoyed the card. Honestly, MMA is better. I feel MMA fights are more entertaining. Every single fight. No one knows any of the other fights on that card. It was all irrelevant. There were two fights after the main event, which of course nobody knows about. So just overall, the MMA scene just gives kind of more light to all fights because every single fight has the potential to be super exciting. It was cool. My homie got me on the floor. I got to walk around a little bit. I walked past and fist bumped Floyd Mayweather. That was kind of random and unexpected. So that was kind of cool. Went backstage, went to the media area. Just hung out there, kicked it a little bit. Just kind of saw how everything operates. On the boxing scene. It was cool to get behind the scenes and see it all. So always, when you're in Vegas, it's all about the right connections and knowing the right people, and then you get yourself some cool opportunities. So this was definitely a fun opportunity, something that I'll obviously always remember, and can always say I went to a Canelo fight. Hopefully it's not the last time. But yeah, that was a cool experience overall. T-Mobile was packed. And again, I'm gonna say it. I prefer UFC at T-Mobile. There's just something about it. It's just better. The atmosphere is better. I've seen some people rumbling back and forth on Twitter about that, talking about the main events in boxing being more boring than some of the prelims in UFC. So I won't jump on that bandwagon necessarily, but yeah, man, I like MMA. I'm biased, I suppose, but I love boxing too. It's just I feel like the corruption in boxing is what leaves a sour taste in my mouth, and yeah, I'm always team MMA for sure. But yeah, NFL on Sunday. The next day, I was spent the whole day watching the NFL. I worked out in the morning before 10 o'clock, and then I made sure I got like a quick little workout in and made sure I had the whole day to enjoy that slate for the NFL. The Bills taking care of business against Miami. Everyone thought Miami was gonna be unstoppable after their 70-20 win over Denver, but man, the Bills look fucking legit. Josh Allen looked legit. They beat them by like 3 touchdowns. So yeah, the Bills are definitely looking hot at the moment. The 49ers as well, super dominant. Christian McCaffrey is a freak. I think he had like 4 touchdowns. Dude's a monster. I enjoy watching the 49ers play as well. But then Sunday Night Football, I had a parlay. The parlay hit. It was the last hit I needed was I had the Kansas City Chiefs -2. I got them on an adjusted line. I had a parlay -2 against the Jets. Bit of controversy in that game. Obviously, I think 95% of the attention in that game was on Taylor Swift. I don't know why. It was weird, bro. Like. Because I watch football. I watch a lot of football, especially like Sunday night games, Monday night football. Like I enjoy watching that, ever since I was in college, like, and moved to the States. I'm like, this is like a traditional thing, so I always watch them. And I have never, ever, ever seen the commentary booth talk so much about a random person that has nothing to do with football. And then the cameras to just continuously show this woman. It's so strange. Like, it is what it is. I don't really care. But it's just like, why is it interfering with, like, why not talk about like CJ Stroud? Like, that rookie from Houston Texans fucking killed it against the Steelers, and they're talking about Taylor Swift. Like, I just thought it was super weird, man. Like, I don't know. Like, if you want to talk about that stuff or you want to go see that stuff, like, go on like social media, or you go on those stupid magazines when you're checking out at the grocery store where they talk about all that shit. Like, that's where that conversation is. But like, when I want to watch football, like, I just want to hear football stuff. Like, I want to hear about what happened during the day. I want to hear about statistics. I want to hear about like the dopest plays. Who knows? Like, I wanted to know about David Njoku. Like, that dude came in with this badass mask because he burned his face over the weekend. Like, I like to know about that. Like, I don't care about Taylor Swift. Oh, Travis Kelce brought coffee for Taylor Swift in the morning. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I took a shit this morning. Nobody cares. Like, this is literally like the most standard behavior ever. And they're talking about it on like Sunday Night Football. Like, it literally blew my mind. But I did see some pretty funny memes afterwards. I feel like everyone feels like I feel. Like, we're sick of it. I'm sick of it. Like, I don't want to hear it no more. Like, it just means nothing. So, but after all that garbage, at least Kansas City won. They won by 3 points. So they covered. But there was some controversy in that. I have some friends that are Jets fans, and they called that, I think it was on 3rd and 22. There was a holding call on the defense, but it didn't even look like a hold. And then there was like a hold on the Kansas City offensive lineman, which didn't get called. And then fucking Mahomes runs for like 22 yards and gets the first down. Yeah, it was pretty controversial in the end. I know a lot of the Jets fans were mad. Zach Wilson finally looked like he could play football. That dude actually like played well up until, that fumble. I was actually a little bit worried. I thought, oh shit, second half. But yeah, I made sure to just hope for the NFL script to come into play, because for some reason they love Mahomes and Kansas City Chiefs. And yeah, thankfully they got it done. I think it was 23-20. So yeah, we covered, we hit the parlay, and then we rolled that shit over into the tennis overnight. I'm not going to get into the tennis because I feel like not a lot of people on here like tennis, but low key, I like tennis. Hit some nice parlays overnight. ATP Beijing and ATP fucking Astana. Yeah, that's for another day. But yeah, low key tennis is fire. There's a shout out to Full Send MMA. They be posting their parlays week in, week out. They do well as well. I'm not gonna lie, I like to go over there and see what they post because they're pretty accurate. Certain things, and we have conversations about certain fights, and I give my 2 cents and vice versa. So it's kind of cool to see how other people are thinking, especially people that are like heavily invested in the game and they keep their eyes on everything. So yeah, I like that. I like to do my research. I like to see who these guys are and who they are and who they're fighting. So yeah, definitely tune in for that on Tuesday. It's going to be pretty dope. And then, yeah, we got UFC back this weekend after a weekend off. We got Grant Dawson and Bobby Green as the main event. And then there's a couple other good fights on there. I know Joaquin Buckley's back on there. Joe Pfeiffer's on there. There going to be definitely some good fighters. It's a good low-key card that I don't think a lot of people know about, especially betting-wise. I'm going to be coming out with another episode probably on Thursday or Friday where I'm going to give you guys a little bit more information on my picks for this Saturday. Definitely there's money to be made on Saturday. I feel it. Usually after a week off, people are hungry, ready to go out there, make an impact in there. So it should be a good time. Again, a big fan of Bobby Green personally. I've trained with him. Very mercurial striker, but I think Grant Dawson is he's like the American Khabib. Gets a hold of you and you ain't getting back up. So yeah, he's a dangerous man to have to fight, especially at 55. So yeah, it's gonna be an interesting card to tune into on Saturday. So yeah, that's kind of been my little overview for the weekend and this upcoming week. Obviously, there's gonna be more information posted at the end of this week. Again, I remember I mentioned One Championship is on Friday, so I'm also gonna be giving more information for that. But a couple things that every day I'm sure all of us do. We're perusing, so to say, on social media, scrolling, looking at all the bullshit, reels, whatever it is. But I was scrolling today and I saw this post in relation to France. A lot of people these days say that France is a shithole, like, it's really fallen off. It's not like how it used to be. But I seen this article, man. France is currently infested with bed bugs in movie theaters, subways, and its airport. That's a first world country, bro. Like in Europe. And like, how does that even happen? Like, how nasty must that be, bro? Like, if you're literally living in a city like Paris, France, and you're fucking everywhere you go, there's bed bugs. Like, what is going on, bro? Like, I feel like France has really, really fallen off. It used to be like known as like the, everyone's like the elite fucking, oh, I'm so proper, I'm so dapper, all that bullshit. But now these motherfuckers can't even keep their shit clean. So that's shocking. The day that I fucking wake up to bed bugs is the day I ain't sleeping on a mattress no more. Because fuck that shit, dog. Like, I don't play around with none of that. That's just, I go start shooting like mayors or some shit if I was getting bed bugs. I'd be like, yo, pay fucking pest control and make sure everybody's straight. Because that makes no sense, dog. And watch, they're going to probably like bug bomb like movie theaters. And then next, like people are going to get cancer from it. Like, just a bunch of fucking retards running shit, bro. Like, that's all I see nowadays. It's like, when I was a kid growing up, I used to think like adults were so smart. They knew what was going on. Now I'm a fucking adult and I realize everyone's a fucking idiot. Like, it's wild, bro. Like, it's wild. You would think a country like that would be able to keep their shit together, especially in that regard. So yeah, that came as a shock, obviously. So yeah, I thought I would, I had like a prior connection with France. So I'm going to fucking shoot some shade at that shithole. I like the food, though. Women, I used to like them, but no more. So we got Fury and Usyk booked for December. That's kind of crazy because Fury's fighting Ngannou, but if that's an indication of disrespect, yeah, I'm pretty sure Fury's not taking Ngannou serious. And to be honest with you, I don't think Fury should. To be honest with you, I've seen Francis box. It's not impressive at all. He cannot box. He does have a nuclear punch. If he starts windmilling and like turns it into an absolute like spaz fest, there's a chance he can clip Fury, and who knows? And it's an absolute fluke. But Fury's gonna have his way with him. They're just securing the bag for Ngannou before he gets back into MMA. But yeah, this is the fight that I really wanted to see, Usyk and Fury. I think after Usyk's last performance, I think Fury watched it and got confidence, because before that he wasn't trying to fight Usyk. I think he was a little bit scared of Usyk, but now he saw, because, and if you guys remember, if you didn't see, Usyk fought Dubois, and actually Dubois hit Usyk on the belt line. Where the law of boxing states that if you hit on the belt line, it is considered illegal. It's considered a low blow, even though the placement of the belt line was above like the groin. A lot of people are saying, oh, he got hit on the belt line and went down, and they're saying that's a legal shot. He should be KO'd by body shot. But the reality is, if you're wearing a cup and somebody punches you in your cup, there's elastics as well, and that pulls up. So there's a good chance that when he got hit there, it pulled up, and that's why he went down so hard and it looked like he got, dropped to the body. Again, obviously the fight went the way it did. Usyk won by KO after that, but I think that changed Fury's mindset. I think he got confidence from that, seeing how Dubois hurt him. And Fury's obviously much bigger than Alexander Usyk. So I think he got a lot of confidence from that. And now look what's happened. He's negotiated a contract, and looks like it's going to happen. So I'm happy to see that, because, they're both still in their prime. That's a fight I definitely want to see. And, Fury wins that. He's definitely the greatest of all time, in my opinion. So yeah, definitely something to look forward to. And then who knows, maybe Ngannou can fucking ruin the whole party. Maybe Ngannou, because I saw Ngannou tweet when that news came out, and he was like, bro, like, how is it possible, the medical suspension that you're going to go through, that you're going to have to be able to fight in December? He's like, I can't believe it. So, bro, I would be happy. I'm Team MMA, so I'd be happy if somehow Ngannou pulls it off. But, I just don't see it. But yeah, that's going to be an interesting fight for sure. And I'm definitely looking forward to it. So one more thing I saw on social media that I want to bring, or not even bring to attention, but if anybody knows the backstory behind it, because there's this dude, he's like this heavyset black dude who's like chilling with gators. And then like I seen some pictures like you're gonna see now. I seen him on Instagram, and he's like chilling eating pizza with them, and it's like the gators are like trying to take his pizza, and then there's like a photo of him like kicking one, and it's like it's awesome. Like I think it's such a dope photo shoot. So if anyone knows like the backstory behind that, like let me know, because that shit was hilarious. Like someone, I think Terrence McKinney posted like, oh, it looks like Black Beast Camp is going real well. Like that shit was so funny, bro. Like I thought it was too good. And yeah, so if any of you guys know what the real story is behind those photos, I'd love to hear it, because that dude's a character for sure. He's funny as fuck. So yeah, man, like this was kind of like a little shorter episode recapping what has been going on over since I last came on and spoke. Again, trying to be more consistent with content, trying to be more available and accessible to you guys. In terms of my upcoming fight, it looks like it's good to go on both sides. Both sides have agreed. I'm not going to announce the opponent yet, but November 10, Gamebred, let's fucking go. It should be a matter of days before we see the announcement. I think it's going to be pretty big. I'll give you a little teaser. He's also ex-UFC fighter. So it's got all the... And that's somebody that I genuinely wanted to fight when I was in the UFC, but my manager wasn't able to make it happen at the time, because I just wanted to fight strikers in the UFC. But after I fought my first fight, Impa Kasanga and I guess can't really say he's a grappler, but then my third fight, they gave me like a world champion jiu-jitsu guy, and I'm like, just give me a striker, man. Like, yeah. So that's why it's kind of like almost full circle. Not only that, on my fighting the guy that I originally asked I wanted to fight, but I'm also getting paid way more for it. So it's a win-win in my opinion. Good opportunity. So yeah, keep an eye out this week. It should be, I'm pretty sure contract should be signed this week, and announcements should follow. So super excited and pumped for that. You know, I'm getting ready at Syndicate. Getting ready with getting a lot of wrestling in, getting a lot of striking in. Just getting ready, man. We're 5 weeks out pretty much. Weight is good. I feel good. Yeah, I'm excited. This is what I do for fun. So it's a hobby, you know, going in there and fight for me. So it's something that I love doing and I'm excited to do. And yeah, feel free to, you know, hit the Instagram page, follow, share, like, subscribe. Please subscribe to the YouTube page. We're trying to grow that. I think we're at like 520 subscribers. The goal is obviously to hit 1K. If we can hit 1K before the end of this year, I'm going to pick someone. I'll pick a couple people out of the subscribers on YouTube. And I'm going to give a bunch of free shit, whether that be some sauce product if you guys are into weed. I know that's like highly illegal or whatever, probably. But I'll find some way. I'll get you guys like gear. I'll get you guys hats. I'll get you whatever. I'll figure it out. But let's try to see if you guys can help me out. Promote, share, tell your friends, tell your family, tune in. And yeah, let's grow this shit. And then, and also make some money along the way. Next episode, when I come out, I'm going to be dropping some picks for the fights. Let's try to make some money. And, yeah, otherwise, I'm going to give a quick little shout out to the homie. So remember I mentioned you guys, my homie Malik moved to Vegas. So he had, at our gym Syndicate, we had an amateur team trial. There was over 100 people. It was actually really dope on Saturday. All the fighters were there. Marab was there, you know, John Wood, Billy, like all the coaches, Trauma, like everybody was there. And it was cool, man. It was cool to see so many guys, you know, going after their dream. And it was awesome. It was like, I was nervous as well because I was like, oh, that's my homie. Like, if he doesn't make the team, like, fuck, people are going to make fun of me. No, I didn't think that. But I was just like, nah, like, he better not fucking put a shitty reflection of my teaching, you know, during the trial. But homie made the team. I was pretty sure he was going to make it. There were a lot of guys, though, man, and it was cool. Like, there seems to be a kind of like a camaraderie now, and they're going to be getting together training. So, you know, shout out to Malik and keep the progress going, keep grinding, and yeah, hopefully maybe next year he'll have an amateur fight, get his feet wet. Once he gets that confidence up, I'm sure it won't take long before we're getting in there and getting him amateur fights. My manager even said that he'd help with it, so that's a great plug right there to get him some opportunities to fight. And yeah, otherwise all is good. Thank you guys for tuning in. As always, Culture Crooks podcast is developing and it's growing, so I hope you guys can be a part and help that. And yeah, otherwise stay good, stay positive, be good, and I'll see you guys at the end of the week. Pieces.